years ago today, I lost my best friend. You see, growing up, I was the only child. That meant I spent every single Sunday, and when I say every Sunday, I did not miss a Sunday at my grandparents' house. We didn't just call them grandparents, they were Granny and Paul for short, and Granny did what she could, what she had, and Grandpa lived off the land. He sold eggs, he sold birds, and in the spring and summer, he sold honey. So that meant my favorite thing to do down there was help him with the daily chores outside. So I'd slip on my muddy boots, we would hold hands, and we would run to the back 40 to check out the chicken coop and collect all the eggs. Then on the other side, we would go check on the pheasant, the chucker, and the quail. We'd make sure all their food and water were good, and my favorite thing to do was watch him maintain his bees in the spring and the summer. That was my absolute favorite. You see, it happens to all of us. We grow up, we're in middle school, we're in high school, we have sports, we have friends, we have homework. And I was a social butterfly. That was my biggest regret today, was not going down there every single Sunday from middle school to high school. You see, I graduated in 2013, and I kind of regained a little bit with my grandparents, and I will never forget. So my grandpa and I share birthdays almost. Mine's November 16th and his is November 19th. And I will never forget to this day. On my 19th birthday, I get a phone call. I don't know who this number is. Didn't even know. My grandpa is now in the digital age that he got him a cell phone. I picked up and I said, hello? He said, hey Sierra, it's Paul. Don't forget 9 o'clock Sunday morning. We are going on a hunt. We're gonna take those pheasants and everything that he raises, and we're gonna go to Dean Documents in the back 40 in Olin, Illinois, and we're gonna go hunting. I was stoked. This is us connecting back together and doing what we used to do and making new memories doing it. We did this November to about mid-March, sometimes a little bit earlier depending, every single winter. It didn't matter. Granny was so upset that I was spending so much time with him and not so much with her. And also he told everybody I was the favorite grandkid, but everyone knew that already. It was about 4 years into our hunt, and we started noticing some health changes with Grandpa. He couldn't walk the field as much as he could. He lost a bunch of weight real suddenly, and those visits turned into visiting him at the ER. You see, the nursing home was not an option for us. So that meant me as a 21 at the time, I was going to CNA school. I was going to take care of the man who I had all these memories and shared everything with, because that wasn't an option for us. So I'm in the midst of my CNA program, and he takes a downward spiral. We have to call in hospice. We call in hospice. I learned through the chapters of life before death and life after death of what I was looking to expect. He was knocking on death's door at this point. I remember going down on Sundays. I started that tradition back up. I was going down there every Sunday. I was doing my homework at the table, and I remember looking over at him, and he's sitting up for the first time in weeks, and he asked for some food. Grandma was stoked. She really thought that this meant that we were on the uphill climb. But in those chapters, but life before death, I realized this was not a good sign. This usually happens to people. So I'm finishing up homework. I'm saying our goodbyes. I tell Granny goodbye, and Grandpa's laying on the couch. And I lean down to tell him goodbye, and he stops me and takes my hand. He said, Sierra, he's like, I'm gonna die. And in that moment, he was such a man of faith that we were both okay with it. So I leave that Sunday. I'm at work Monday morning. Mind you, I work at a clinic. Keep my phone on because I know within the next few days, few weeks, that I'm gonna get that phone call. Sure enough, I'm sitting at my desk and see Mama come over the phone. I picked it up in silence because we both already knew. She didn't have to say anything. I knew it was time. The day before, he told me he was gonna die, and he knew that tomorrow was gonna be his last day. So I make the drive down there. Mind you, it's an hour and 15-minute drive to get there. I'm throwing up in the passenger seat because I'm so upset. I already knew. make it down there, and I'm holding his hand. There's nothing. He's already fixated. But I did learn also in CNA school that hearing is the last thing to go. So we gather our immediate family, and I said, guys, go ahead and tell him what you wanted him to hear, because this is the last thing that's going to go for him, and he's going to be able to hear your last words. They say all their words, they go outside, and then it's just him and I. I'm holding his hand, and I told him, you told me yesterday that you were okay to go. And no, I'm okay for you to go. 15 minutes later, I held his hand and watched his spirit leave. I watched his heart stop. And in that moment, I lost my best friend. That's not the end though. He had his homecoming with the Lord, and with him being a man of his faith, I was okay. I was the one being selfish because I didn't want him to go. But the whole point of this story is